Yeah, I'm back again with another historical banger. Now you remember last week when I dropped that video entitled "The Black American Who Joined the Haitian Revolutionary Government," and in that video I discussed the legendary, the honorable Prince Saunders. And for those that didn't see that video, go check it out. But just to give a brief overview and refresher of who we talking about. Prince Saunders, the first international black educator, political diplomat, and the greatest Pan-African scholar of the 19th century. Born in Connecticut with free status in 1775, his naturally high intelligence levels granted him the opportunity to obtain an Ivy League education at Dartmouth College during the height of slavery. By age 21, he became a landowner and school teacher in Vermont. Saunders used his wealth and influence to encourage blacks in America to migrate back to Africa and also Haiti, where the enslaved Africans had recently won the War of Independence against France, Spain, and Great Britain and established the first free state in the Western Hemisphere. Saunders arrived in 1816 and was immediately hired as Christophe's political advisor. Under the Christophe administration, Saunders established several schools in the nation, and most notably, the Royal College of Haiti. Christophe provided the schools with furniture and equipment that was equivalent to what could be found in Europe at the time. Now, for a more in-depth analysis for the legend that is Prince Saunders, go check out my video from last week. It ain't too long. It's like 6-7 minutes long. It's nothing too crazy. But in this video, we're going to discuss how was the reaction of the Haitian king when he met Prince Saunders for the first time. What did he say? What did he do? How did he react? Well, guess what? I have a very rare book in my possession. A book that contains political documents and letters that were written by King Henri Christophe from the years 1813 to 1820. These letters have been documented, saved, and distributed as a book. It's a very tough book to buy. You know, you could probably get it cheap if you got a plug on the used books, but for brand new, I'm seeing the prices could be up to, $1,000, because these are very rare documents, government classified documents, official letters that were written by the King of Haiti to foreign diplomats and heads of state, and also the letters that were returned from those diplomats and heads of state, most notably the British government, the British elite, the abolitionists in Great Britain. So in this letter, we have King Henri Christophe corresponding with British abolitionist, British diplomat Thomas Clarkson. And in that, he's talking about how, Prince Saunders just arrived on the island. Within the letter, Christophe is basically giving him an overview of how things are going. And he's also giving thanks because he was the one that actually connected the two brothers. Because Thomas Clarkson realized, okay, you got this brother out in, the East Coast. He doing his thing. You know what I mean? He educated. He got some bread, free status. He not enslaved. He enlightened, very intelligent. Prince Saunders, one of the most intelligent black men of the 1800s. So, and then you got the Haitian king. Thomas Clarkson was cool with both of them. So Thomas Clarkson was cool with the Haitian king. Keep in mind, this is a white man from the 1800s. So even though he might have levels of respect for both of these gentlemen, don't get it twisted. He still carries the energy of white supremacy in his heart. Maybe the fire of white supremacy doesn't burn as hard within his chest as the other British and French, Spanish colonists. We're not gonna focus on that. Maybe when I make videos in the future and we go over different letters that were written between the two. Also, I have a letter between General Christophe, the King of Haiti, and the Emperor of Russia, Alexander. And in another video in the future, we'll get into that too, but that's not the topic of the video. But just know we got a whole gang of historical gems within this book, and we're going to go over this one today. We're going to recite the letter that Christophe actually sent to the British government. And this was actually written on the 5th of February, 1816. We got these dated. We got the location it was written at. It was written at the Sanssouci Palace, the Royal Palace. This is where it was written. The date, February 5th, 1816. Let's get into it. Dear Thomas, I receive with great satisfaction, Mr. Prince Saunders. Your recommendation and those of Mers, Wilberforce, and Stephen ensured him of being shown every possible consideration. For a long while, my intention, my dearest ambition, has been to secure for the nation, which has confided to me its destiny, the benefit of public instruction. Pétion's revolt, his betrayal of the Haitian people, and the civil dissension he created among us arrested the impetus I wished to give to education, that first duty of sovereigns. I am completely devoted to this project. The edifices necessary for the institutions of public instruction in the cities and in the country are under construction. I am awaiting the professors and the craftsmen I requested, who will take upon themselves the training of our youth. I intend to accord them every encouragement, protection, and tolerance in the exercise of their religion, along with whatever advantages that may be just and reasonable. So if God blesses my handiwork and grants me sufficient time, I hope that the inhabitants of Haiti, overcoming the shameful prejudice which has too long weighed upon them, will soon astonish the world by their knowledge. It is thus I should like to refute the calumny of our detractors and justify the high opinion our friends the philanthropists have conceived of us. I would indeed be unworthy of the high rank to which Providence has called me, of the duties which are mine to perform, of the great hopes our friends place in me, if I did not strive to merit their respect and fulfill their just expectations, then too I have before my eyes the record of history and the approval of posterity which I covet. I rejoice, along with our kind friends, at the action of the French government in consenting finally to the abolition of the abominable slave trade and in abandoning the evil and impractical idea of sending a military expedition against Haiti. That government should have taken action a long time ago instead of allowing itself to be led into disastrous measures by the claims and accusations of those enemies of the human species, the ex-colonists who declared in print that all our population above the age of 6 must be assassinated. We hope, if the French cabinet is ever again led to attempt inhuman measures against us, that our virtuous defenders will enlighten European public opinion and strive to prevent the execution of such a project. If our friends do not succeed in the praiseworthy design of halting this abomination, we count on them at least to inform and warn us of any enterprises which may be undertaken for our destruction, so that we may upon be on our guard. The British nation has long since earned a right to the gratitude of all Haitians. What it has just done when it used its influence to obtain of France the abolition of the infamous slave trade gives us new reason for admiration and thankfulness. We are grateful also for the share which their majesties, the Emperor of Russia and the Sovereign of Germany, had in the abolition of the slave trade. I felt it necessary to ask Mr. Prince Saunders to return to England in order that he might bring back with him the teachers whom I requested Mr. Wilberforce to procure for me, and who are to instruct our youth according to the approved modern educational system. I have entrusted Mr. Prince Saunders with the delivery of various letters which I am addressing to our friends, and with our public papers, because I have been informed that certain letters written to us and some sent by us along with our papers have been intercepted by the French ex-colonists in London, Jamaica, and St. Thomas. Upon delivering to you my letter, Mr. Prince Saunders has asked to express to you, as well to our friends, my warm and sincere thanks for all the efforts you have made and the zeal you have shown for the triumph of the cause of the Africans and all their descendants. The gratitude which I feel towards you and to our good and virtuous defenders will never be effaced from my heart, and I shall ever seize all occasions to give you proof of it. Signed, Henri. So, as you can see, and these are the gentlemen that the Europeans say were just some uneducated, illiterate slaves. Do you hear the vocabulary my man was dropping? And he never spent a day in the classroom. The only thing he knew, the only place he been was the plantation, the battlefield, and doing business, getting money. He ain't never sat a day in a classroom, but he got the vocabulary of a PhD scholar who done graduated from Ivy Leagues. So you got to understand, the black man in the early 1800s was built different, bro. And as you can see, the energy of which was within the letter. He mentioned several things. He mentioned that he wanted to give thanks to the British government, the Russian government, and the German government, because around that time, as you know, Haiti declared independence in 1804. The British abolished slavery in their territories in 1807. Now, when it was abolished, it means that we are no longer going to import slaves, because they realized, okay, if we import too many slaves, the French got outnumbered by the amount of slaves they were importing each year importing over 50,000 slaves each year. And those slaves rose up against them and took over the colony, and they lost their prized territory. The British abolished slavery because they did not want to be outnumbered and outgunned on their colonial territories in the event that a rebellion were to break out. It was to protect their colonists on their island because they were shook. They did not want to bring more and more Africans coming in when they seen what happened to the island down the block. So the British did not abolish slavery out of the goodness of their heart. It was a political decision. It was an economic decision. And also the Industrial Revolution was creeping up pretty soon. So the whole slavery thing was about to be out of style anyway. So Christophe was basically thanking the British and all the other kings for exerting their influence during a time where France was going through a regime change, and the French actually agreed to abolish slavery during that time, around that time. So that's why he was giving thanks. And also he was basically telling them, look, I'm going to send Prince Saunders, as we know, Black American legend. I'm going to send Prince Saunders with these letters to hand deliver to you personally, because he found out that the French government was intercepting his letters to other heads of state, and they were confiscating his letters, and his letters were not making it there. So you understand what was going on back in them times, bro. That was just, bro, politics is insane, bro. Politics is like the streets. Gangster. You know what I mean? Gangster. In 1816, I believe this is 2 years after King Henri Christophe assassinated the ambassador of France when he arrived in his territory to request reparations. So the temperature is red hot. When you assassinate an ambassador of a foreign country, that's basically a declaration of war. So Christophe in his letters was like, listen, bro, they confiscated my letters. They spreading propaganda. General Christophe is basically telling the British, look, if you hear anything, rumbling in the woods, you hear, they about to plot against me, just let me know, bro. Just let me know so I could be on guard. That's all I request. And then he basically also requested that Prince Saunders go over there and come back with some teachers, because Christophe and Prince Saunders were the ones that established the schools. But, we got to have people teaching in the schools. We got to have people teaching in the art academies. We got to have people teaching in the various classes and specialties. You know what I mean? It can't just be two men teaching the whole nation. We got a nation of damn near 500,000 people. So obviously we need some teachers. We got to get some teachers up in these classrooms, And another thing too, Christophe, in the beginning of the letter, he spoke about his rivalry between himself and the mulatto generals from the South. He also opened it up. Remember, he said, Pétion's revolt, General Alexander Pétion, his betrayal of the Haitian people and the civil dissension he created among us arrested the impetus I wish to give to education, the first duty of kings. I'm completely devoted to this project. He mentioned it, saying that Pétion been giving me problems. Pétion been spreading propaganda. Pétion been causing problems on the border. And I'm just trying to build these schools. I wasted so much time dealing with this dude, causing problems, causing dissension, causing division. I should have been way farther along in my projects. But this dude, down south, he just, he on my nuts. You know what I mean? So he started the letter out like, listen, Pétion revolt. You know what I mean? He didn't cause division among the people. Keep in mind, General Alexander Pétion was the mastermind behind the assassination of General Jean-Jacques Dessalines. So, as we know, these letters are gold, man. These letters are classic. And I'm going to pretty much read all of these letters with y'all, man. We just going to put it out there, bro. This is very rare literature, bro. This is like, imagine you have letters written by George Washington, like to, the British diplomats or the French diplomats, letters from Thomas Jefferson written to, the French diplomat, written to Napoleon. It's these type of letters, bro. And I got a bunch of them. In fact, before we end the video, I actually got a letter that General Christophe wrote to his son in the year 1816. So his son would have been about 11, 12 years old around that time. This letter was written on the 15th of June, 1816 at the Citadel. Remember, the first letter was written at the palace. This letter was written inside the Citadel. Remember, I did the video on the Citadel the other day. Black men built the largest military fortress in the world, and nobody talks about that. Check that video out. I broke down the Citadel, praised the Citadel, and we gave honor to the Citadel. So Christophe wrote this letter inside the Citadel. It's very short, but let's get into it. My dear son, since tomorrow is Sunday, I can permit you, by way of recreation, to take your horse and come visit the Citadel. You will always have enough time to amuse yourself, and people would say that no celebration can take place without your wishing to be present, whereas your studies should receive all your attention. I do not find that you are devoting yourself to them with the application that they merit. No signature. The king to the royal prince, his son. So, listen, man, these letters are gold. And I'm thinking about starting a series. We might just run through this whole book, each letter, break it down, react to it, run through the mindset of the king during that time, in my opinion. And, it's just going to be a great series, bro. Great series. Very rare documents, bro. Trust me. Brand new, this book was like over $1,000, but I got it for the low price. So it's going to be fire. We get to dive into the mindset and the actions of a black man living in the early 1800s, trying to navigate a political landscape where all the world powers are getting money and getting rich off slavery, and you are coming into prominence, the anti-slavery nation. How do you survive? How do you navigate? What's the mindset? It's very awesome to, dissect that. And we got to do it, man. We got to do it. Because listen, they're not going to teach us this in school. They're not going to break down this in school. They're going to act like it never happened. But they got these letters up in their archives, though. But they won't teach it at the school, though. They won't teach it at the university, though. But we're going to teach it up here, though. It is what it is. It's your boy, Neferkari Dessalines, back in the building. Yes, indeed. And I'm gone. Peace. One last thing, too, that I like to point out. Within the letter, I'm sure you heard it. General Christophe referred to himself, his nation, and the entire global black family and the diaspora as Africans and African descendants. Listen, this is a man that they claim is uneducated, illiterate. This is the label that they put on all the legendary generals. But I'm telling you, every letter that I read from the generals, bro, these are dudes that write like scholars. They write like university professors. They write like master teachers. And logically speaking, it makes sense. How else would you rise to prominence to be at the head of a 500,000 person nation if you weren't a genius, if you weren't someone to be respected intellectually, if you weren't the intellectual superior on the island? How would an illiterate man rise to the ranks of 500,000 people at the head? Come on, bro. Y'all got to stop. Y'all got to stop. Now, of course, it was split in two between the Northern Kingdom and the Southern Republic, with the mulattoes controlling the South. So it was probably about, 300,000 up north, and then maybe like 200,000 down south, roughly, give or take. It probably wasn't the whole 500,000, but you have to understand, even if he was a leader of 5,000 people, you got to be intellectually elite. You got to be intellectually superior to be at the helm of 2, 3, 4,000 people, let alone close to 5,000, 500,000 people. And it's very easy to see Christophe's trajectory to power. You have to understand, Toussaint Louverture started out with a 600-man army around 1792. That quickly rose to about 50,000 by 1799. Toussaint was deported by 1802. Dessalines took over the armed forces 1802, led the battle to victory, declared independence 1804. Dessalines was assassinated 1806. A lot of Dessalines supporters linked up with Christophe up north, and he inherited many of Toussaint's old forces and Dessalines' old forces, and he inherited an army that rose to the level of 50,000. Keep in mind, the military strategy during that time was guerrilla warfare. It was never going to be up front shooting the fade. Nah, it was going to be ambush attacks, hit and run, drive-by style shootouts, and it would be the entire population that was engaged in battle, men, women, and children. The 50,000 is just the active armed forces that you would see in uniform, but best believe if there was an invasion, you would see women, you would see children, you would see the elders with machetes and shotguns and carbines and rifles and all that. But the main thing that I want to extract from this is look at what black men were doing with none of the resources that we have today. You're talking about an era, no cars, no planes. All you got is what? Horse and chariot. Ain't no Amazon. Ain't no U.S. Postal Service. Ain't no planes. This is the era of handwritten letters where it takes weeks and weeks to get there. By the time the letter arrives, you got to write and send another one because so many things then happen in between that time. You're talking about a time where you sitting on a ship weeks and weeks just to sail to another location instead of hopping on a plane and ended up in that location in a few hours, couple hours. You know, you're talking about a time where now we got FaceTime. You know, I could be in Canada, my homie in Miami. I could be in New York, my man in Boston. I could be in Paris, my man in London. I could be in Germany, my man in Sweden. And we talking, we doing business. I got Cash App, I got PayPal. He's sending me money 2 seconds in my wallet. It's way different now, bro. Way different. What excuse do we have? You're talking about ancestors that did legendary things with none of the resources and none of the help and none of the expertise. What do we got all these degrees, all this Western education. How come we ain't building half the things that our ancestors built who ain't never spent a day under a Western curriculum? How? Something is clearly missing. Something is clearly wrong. We have clearly devolved. We have clearly gone backwards. And this statement can apply to all black men around the world. We have clearly gone backwards because if you compare the ancient times, the pre-colonial times to recent times, the gap, the difference is astonishing. That's all I can say. It's your boy Neferkari Dessalines back in the building. Yes, indeed. And I'm gone. Peace.
Reincarnated, I'm back in original fashion. I left on a horse and came back in that ass, and I left with abundance and came back to famine. We used to be pyramids, now we be rapping. Look how the mighty have fallen. Used to be running, now we be walking. When you be cooning, that's when they applauded. Selling your soul, your sons and your daughter. Gotta come up in this shit, they stuck in the mix. Really, my heart it be breaking. That's why I'm stacking that paper and handle my business. Pass it down in generation. Talking about money and power and building a nation. That's a deadly combination. Never be watching the TV, they pushing agendas, falsifying information. Know they got malice intentions. Step in the room and I'm feeling the tension. Enemy watching, he blocking my vision. Paying for the check cause I need my redemption. Building my kingdom, I need it protected. Ready for war like a young Money Congo. Never decided the team is the motto. Up in the crib and I'm whipping up waffles. Up in the crib and I'm smoking gelato. I'm chilling, I'm taking my pain and make it ambition. I'm blessed by the gods, but I ain't religious. I came for the power, they came for the bitch. They making no hourly wage, I got business. This shit is an art and they could never be taught. Selling my soul, I can never be bought. Play with my money, I see you ain't caught. Run to the check and I do it for sport. Babylon falling, I go to the source. Packing my luggage and go overseas. Shorty be with me and she so elite. Shorty be chocolate, I'm calling her Hershey. Secret intelligence probably gon' murk me. Don't fuck with brands cause nigga I'm Haitian. Say the wrong shit and you're smacking their faces.